what to write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas last.
I don't know if the earth is painted blue.
That was great sounds of Watson with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, Easy Bluez is in the building. Easy Bluez, you're better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand?
Ladies and gentlemen, are you tired of being told what culture is? Do you long for the days when Hot Topic was not just corporate nonsense? Are you really, really just looking for a spot that's completely free to be yourself and to fully invest in independent artists out there trying to make it? Well, if you are, you want to drive your way on down to New Haven, hit Orange Street, and find this incredible spot, Strange Ways. It is a true representation of the counterculture, and I love and appreciate it so much. So put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, you keep your hands at 10 and 2, because we don't want any accidents. But if you are driving, try to stop by the shop. It's a really good place to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the amazing Alex. Alex from Strange Ways. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Thank you so much for that awesome intro. I love that.
Well, I like to have fun. It's a thing that I like to do. But honestly, it's also very true what I feel about your shop. I'm of the older generation, and I remember when you had Torrid and you had Hot Topic, and it was the spot where anyone could go to feel like they belong. And then, just like anything with culture, that the big peoples find out, and they invest a whole lot of money in it, and then they tell you what you need to do to feel like you belong. But not your shop. Your shop is really open to just accepting people for who they are, and that is something that I really truly appreciate. And I'm glad that younger generations have a spot like yours to go to. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Peripherally on the top, people ask what Strange Ways is. I actually sometimes say, well, if you don't know anything about the store, the easiest thing to say is it's a mix between Urban Outfitters and Hot Topic. I feel like we're sort of in the middle. But as you are aware, and once people actually find out what the store, it's much more than that. But just on the top, I guess that's what it looks like to people. But yeah, really, it's about self-expression. It's about carrying independent artists. It's about supporting their work. And a lot of times, artists are expressing themselves. So if you relate to that, then you're expressing yourself as well. And it all is kind of this nice congruence of expression, which is, I know, I'm attracted to myself.
It's so super important. And now, for those that don't know, yes, we're talking about the end journey of Strange Ways itself, but let's talk about the beginning, right? How did this whole thing come through? Did you wake up one day, after a 36-hour paint off or something? Were you challenged with the Maharishi, about, to find out the true meaning of life? And was it 42? Like, how did this all start?
So I have a graphic design background. And if you talk to anyone that maybe went to art school, I find that design and art is actually pretty different. But maybe I won't go into that. Maybe that's something for later in the discussion. But I went to art school. I did graphic design. I was always interested in creating T-shirts, creating logos, doing graphics for bands, doing logos for businesses, basically really graphic work. And I started a clothing line. I also worked at Converse and worked at Puma, not at the retail store, not selling the stuff. Like, I designed for them. I did graphics, I did footwear, did materials, I did trend stuff. So I always had this interest in kind of visually representing yourself. With Converse, they're very much about an artist brand. They're a music brand. I loved working there. They were very much about what you wear is, an expression of yourself. And I was doing that while I worked there, making a clothing line, trying to express myself even more. But you come to realize that getting people to carry your clothing line in a store is actually really difficult. I mean, no one wants to carry someone they never heard of. There's no guaranteed buy. I lived in Boston at the time, and there was, a good amount of like streetwear stores. And I would say I was like kind of in between indie and streetwear, if you want to categorize. And some people took a chance on it and some people didn't. And I was just like, someday I just think I need to have the store. And basically a couple years down the line, I moved to New Haven, and New Haven gave me the opportunity to start the store, which I called Strange Ways. That's like a little intro, I guess. It kind of bounced around.
No, it's so super interesting too, because we talk about it a lot here, about instead of taking, and again, we don't, anyone who's into the brands, you're into the brands, we love you for it. It is what it is. Those big things, if they're for you, if you're Air Force Ones, more power to you. I love you, I respect you. But instead of taking that $250 to drop on a pair of Air Force Ones or something like that, to take that and invest in yourself and in your own brand. And especially, I love that you spoke about the real journey of, yes, I've created a clothing line, but then trying to find some place that's going to be able to carry it. That a lot of people nowadays, with the birth of the internet and how crazy the internet is, it's a little bit easier because you have that aspect, but you still have to drive traffic to your website. You can't just throw things out there. It's just never going to go through. I mean, we say that with musicians, we say that with anything. Just having the good idea is not good enough. Having the good idea and creating that aspect is still not necessarily good enough. You have to figure out ways to drive people through, and in the age of everyone going to the internet for their things, the fact that you're investing in a brick and mortar, I think is amazing, and I think needs to be done more. I'd love to see some of these incredible independent websites start investing in brick and mortars, or maybe even, some of those old malls that have been closed, a bunch of different website owners getting involved in there and having each store represented, or bring back the old flea market aspect. What would you think about a culture like that?
Well, I will say that I understand why a lot of people don't have brick and mortar stores. To kind of backtrack a little bit, when I started my clothing line, it must have now been 12, 15 years ago. I mean, Instagram wasn't a thing yet. Like online shops were a thing, and I knew the value in that. So when Strange Ways began, I actually started it as an online store. I had done an online store for my clothing line. I knew you can reach more people. I knew how to set up. I had a graphic design background. I was like, all right, you can start here, see if there's an interest, and then hopefully I can start a store. But I will say, I mean, COVID's kind of changed a lot of things. I think it's made people reconsider where they're buying from, where they're, what they're buying, who they're buying it from, who are they buying from, what they stand for. So, I mean, actually COVID, a good thing that's come out of that is I think people are paying more attention to that. But let's say pre-COVID, people say retail's dying. I get why people aren't going to brick and mortar. It's just so easy to shop online. And I will say, if you're going to start a store, you need to have an online presence. You just need to. I mean, I think unless I think the things that are thriving are food, bars, things like that, because you can really only get those in person. There's a social aspect to it. But I think we have a very large online shop when we actually make more money online. But I just personally think it's really cool to maybe what you're saying, to have a store. And it kind of goes with what we do, where we're trying to support artists. We're trying to let you come in and see these things that maybe you do see online, but now you can see them in store. I mean, we source from a ton of people that I just found on Instagram. I'm like, this is awesome. This is awesome. I want to carry it in here. And now people can kind of come to one spot and maybe see a lot of these artists and brands that they have been following and see their stuff in person. We also can hold events and have people that are locally come in and set up a table, sell their stuff. We used to hold a pin and patch market called Flair Fair. We haven't done it since COVID. Hopefully it'll come back, but it allows all these people to come in for one day, and all their, fans and people are interested in this to come in and, support them and visit and talk and share, and that social aspect's there. But I would think it would be great if we could revitalize all of these, empty storefronts. I do think it's hard. I think you need to do something really specific and special. If you can buy it on Amazon, why are people going to come in? But I think, like I said, I think that people are starting to think, well, even if it's just something local, if there's a local person making randomly, I don't know, soap, a barbecue sauce, they're doing a pop-up, let's check it out. I think people are going to I think they appreciate spending, even if it's a little bit more money to support someone local now, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a trend that I have seen as well, and it's incredible. But I love you actually were able to talk about it a little bit in that, and I want to kind of expand on it as well. The events, because being a musician, we play shows, we do what we need to do. But I have found that when you have an event, it's not just a show; it's someone's birthday, so it's a birthday show, or it's an album release, or this person's coming out from here. When you have an event, more people are likely to come up and come through. That's actually how I found out about your incredible shop. Was you had a pop-up with a kid from New Haven, and they had they were there with Classic Stoner Life, and we've had Mickey on the show, so shout out to Mickey. You have these opportunities where people can come in and meet, and you, as much as you can get emails back and forth, and that's incredible. And again, I don't pour salt in anyone's hustle. When you have that opportunity to go and actually have a conversation with someone and kind of bring that aspect back, I know that was pre-pandemic, and I know things are slowly evolving back. But is there anything you have, say, on the books for the coming spring or summer that you have kind of event ready?
So nothing's ready yet because the store, as you mentioned, we did pop-ups in our old store in Westville. We were on Whaley Ave. It was great. It was my first opportunity to have a storefront. It was small. It was a really cool community. People supported it. It was there for, I think, 6 years until we finally moved. But part of the big reason for moving was to not only have a bigger space, but to be able to have events. I mean, you probably came in where there was just like a table sucked into a little part on the wall, like kind of fitting
the
people
back patio.
Oh, the back patio was open. Okay, good. Yeah, when it's nice, we had the back patio. So yeah, but part of the reason why this space that we moved to on Orange Street in downtown was literally half of it is what I call the Strange Ways Studio. So it's my office, it's our photo studio for online. We're going to do customization here, and we're going to have events. So the store was a huge undertaking in moving. It's 4 times as big as our last space. And as you see behind me, this is one mural we had. We had 4 murals done. We expanded to every section. We had to buy a huge counter that was tons of money, like just merchandising stuff. Point is, the store took a really long time to set up, and it's finally at a place now where I feel really happy with it. So now the focus is the studio, and we're getting in customization stuff this week, and then we're going to start having events, I hope, for May. So the goal is to have it every Friday or Saturday, have an artist pop-up table where people just know there's always going to be someone here setting up and someone new and local. I do know that the New Haven Night Market happens again in May, and they're doing it on Orange Street again as well. So May 13th on the Friday the 13th, I feel like I have to do something. I'm a big horror movie fan. I have a horror movie t-shirt on, and it's a big thing for me. So I'm hoping that May 13th might be our first big event, but I'm hoping that, if not before then, but definitely after that, every Friday or Saturday, we'll just have someone here and to stop by. But I would say we're just at the beginning of, finessing who that is, when it is, stuff like that.
Well, from the horror aspect, I feel like it kind of jumps for itself. You're doing Friday the 13th. I don't know if you know the Frankenstein twins, but they are phenomenal artists, and they have great patches and stuff. So I'm just going to throw it out there. If it happens to land, it happens to land. But I mean, it sounds like a match made on Friday the 13th.
No, Val used to vend at Flair Fair, and I know them. And I also know Lipgloss Crisis used to do art in the back at 3 Sheets. So I'm like putting my feelers out there, if someone's going to handle it, if we're going to do it, if we're going to collaborate. But I definitely think something's going to happen soon with, all these people that we're talking about.
That's awesome. Now, for those who don't know, for those who try to stay out of downtown, what is the night fair?
So it's called the New Haven Night Market. The Downtown Green organizes it twice a year. They did one last fall on Orange Street, which is what we're on. It's more directly located outside of Art Space or Barcade, Elm City Games, that road. But yeah, I think it's like 25 to 50 vendors of food, art, makers. I think that there's music too. I'm usually vending it, so I'm kind of stuck in my little booth, but there's food trucks. There's a petting zoo, but they do it twice a year. It's really awesome. And then they usually do it in the spring closer towards like Yale's campus, but I heard they're doing it back on Orange Street again in the spring. So it's just like a really awesome outdoor market that's local and all open air, and they shut down the street, and I mean, thousands of people come out. I think they've been doing it for now 4 years, but I don't work for them, so I don't actually know, but it's awesome. Yeah. Look up the New Haven night market.
No, it's great, and I love to hear that the city is behind the small businesses that are out there. You know, we've been lucky enough to have Adrian Jefferson on here, and she really speaks about, you know, how important the people that actually live here are, and the businesses that actually are here are so important because they are the lifeblood. And first of all, I also would like to welcome you from Westville to here. Welcome.
Thank you.
You know, although I do miss the shop on Westville when I'm getting my coffee, but you know, I'll be okay.
Yeah, we've had mixed feelings, but you know, we had to grow. And also, you know, our online shop is stored at the storefront. Everything that when we saw online, it's just pulled right from the floor. So, you know, we needed more room for that growth as well. And I will say, if you don't know, I have another business in the old spot. So if you're not aware, there's a general store there now called Westville General. And it's very fitting for a historic village vibe. And I'm from New England. I'm from New Hampshire. I lived in Boston. I'm in Connecticut. So it's like an old school New England general store that carries home goods, pantry items, gifts, called the Westville General. And I run that too. So it's in the old Strange Ways space. And there's a lot of kind of confluence between the two where we source from local people, try to carry a lot of people from New England. Only Connecticut's kind of hard, but if it's from Connecticut, even better. But a lot of like Vermont maple syrup and like Massachusetts, like honey and stuff like that. So the Westville General is a store in our old Strange Ways space that I also still run. And so if you're ever there, you should check that out too.
Definitely.
That was a beautiful segue. I have to say, I appreciate that transition. You know, much respect for that. That was awesome. It was almost like we planned it. It was great. So, as you continue to go and as you continue to grow, are you still actively doing graphic design for businesses and, you know, bands and different things like that? Or have you now, being, you know, a multi-business owner, you know, are you now transitioned more out of that?
I've definitely transitioned out of that. I think that's actually a good segue as well. When I was mentioning, I consider art and design different. As a designer, I'm much more interested in like concepts and brands and like marketing and sort of like, what is this about? And I think artists are much more about expression and trying to, you know, get something out of them that they feel like needs to, you know, be expressed. And I'm much more interested in kind of almost honing that. And that's another reason why I started Strangers, where we carry a lot of artists and I see a lot of people and I go to these markets and I look on Instagram. And again, I went to art school, I had all these friends, and I'm like, you're doing something awesome. And in my opinion, people aren't maybe getting what's so special about it. So what I try to do at Strange Ways is basically be like, here's something awesome someone's making. I have nothing to do with it, but look at this awesome thing. And here's why I think it's special. And maybe you do too. And I think just being that, what I guess I would call creative director, brand director, I guess on my work, just sort of maybe honing in on what people are already doing and, you know, trying to communicate it to a mass audience that I have now the potential to like get to is kind of what I'm more interested in. I don't personally feel the need to express myself. I get a lot of satisfaction from, you know, carrying people that I think are doing something awesome and just selling that. And I get kind of satisfaction from that.
That's a really good answer on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ Bluez is in the building. We got Alex from Strange Ways. EZ Bluez, continue.
Well, I absolutely love the answer, and I don't ever want you to discredit yourself, because your new form of artistic expression is being that platform. There's a lot to be said for being that platform. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, Prestige and I are artistically using our platform to do similar. I'm not saying that at all. We're artists too, darn it. No, I mean, but no, it's so much. Look, when we are 100% raised in a culture that is all about showing off and showing out yourself as much as possible, you know, it is very refreshing when you do have people that are there and be like, hey, you know, these other people are really awesome. And, you know, yeah, I'm cool, but these people are really dope. And to be able to do that for people is incredible. And I kind of miss it from society, because there was a while where that was everything. Everything was telling everybody else how awesome other people were. And now we're back to kind of that me type of thing. And it's great to see community come back. You know, especially, again, we don't really focus that much about the pandemic aspect, but especially in a time where community was kind of taken from us. It is great to see everyone kind of coming back and being real live and understanding how important our neighbor actually is to ourselves. As you're now in New Haven and you're through there and you're growing and you're expanding, you know, what is it like on Orange Street? Because that really has become kind of like that new hotspot in New Haven. So what is it like being a shop on Orange Street?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I had been trying to move from our store for years just because we ran out of, like I said, space so fast. But I really loved Westville. You know, I'll champion Westville a lot, which is why I still have a business there. And I live over in Westville. It's in New Haven. It's just on the west side of, you know, New Haven. But there's a really strong community there. There's a really strong artist community, neighborly community. You know, there's volunteers that do a lot of cleaning up around, you know, the village. It's just like a really nice vibe that I was happy to be a part of. And it was really hard to try to find something that would mimic that. I mean, I didn't want to, no offense to anyone that rents from Yale, but like the shops at Yale, I just didn't want to be a part of that. Like, I have nothing to do with Yale. I don't need to be the shops at Yale. You know, I want to be Strangeways, and I want to be around other independently owned businesses that, you know, maybe don't need to rely on this thing that people always associate with New Haven. Like, I think there's a lot more to New Haven than just Yale. So, and plus the rent's really expensive. So it was like, all right, where do you go? Where do you go? You know, where else in New Haven has like sort of a neighborhood vibe that might support a store like Strangeways? And luckily there was a spot open on Orange Street that we were able to talk to landlords about. It had been empty for a long time. If anyone's curious where we are, we're in the back of Pitkin Plaza. We're next to Trinity. We're near G Cafe. We're right next to Elm City Market, the big, like, kind of like higher end grocery store downtown. But it had been empty for a long time. And so luckily they were able to work with me on kind of the rent. But kind of sidetracked there. But anyways, like, it's such a good spot to be because it's really the only place I would say in downtown, quote unquote, New Haven, where there are independent businesses and there is like a neighborhood vibe and there are these local shops that want everyone to thrive. I mean, you have Elm City Games, you have Bark and Vine that opened up a year ago, the plant store, you have Barcade, you have the Pride Center, you have, I'm sure I'm forgetting people now that I'm trying to list everyone, but Artisan Craftsman, there's the EB Vintage, there's the Devil's Gear, which is actually where we used to be. If people are looking for us, like their very, very first spot is where our new store is now, but they're now on Chapel Street. So there's all these local businesses that it's like, it feels like a neighborhood again. And there's people I recognize I'm walking around, you know, and I'll go to their store and they'll come to mine. And it's kind of like the only spot I feel like that would make sense for us to move to. So I'm really happy that it worked out. And I do think that it's right in the middle of all of this sort of stuff happening downtown, where they're getting all these high-rise apartments built up and they're renovating, you know, other businesses and buildings, and they're doing all this traffic, like pedestrian safety and like fixing, you know, some of the roads and things like that. And I kind of feel like we're right in the middle. So investing for the future, basically. You know, I think this is where if people want to come shop local but be downtown, we're right next to the Green, we're right near State Street Station, like we're right between Worcester Square and downtown. Just walk like 5 minutes from where most people who are visitors might come, and hopefully they'll, you know, not just go to the Yale section, they'll walk 5 minutes and come down to Orange Street too.
And hopefully we'll see a lot of that as the Arts and Ideas Festival starts to show back up and different things like that, you know, where you'll have that extra, you know, people coming through. And we hope and we pray that the concerts on the Green will happen again, because that's always good to bring a bunch of people to the city and really would funnel directly out there. for y'all, which would be great. And I really, 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 really appreciate that. And I'm glad that you were able to find that neighborhood aspect of it. And I really want to talk about that more, because a lot of people will think New Haven and they'll just think Yale, or they'll just think of some of the negative things that have happened over time and different things like that. But there is a true community. There is a true, real neighborhood feel that is there, and it is accepting to everyone, which is so cool, especially coming through where everything seems very not really gray area. You know, and you guys, live and exist saying not only is there a gray area, but it is a beautiful area, and look at all the amazing stuff that happens in there. What is it? Do you feel that you kind of have to make that statement, or is this just 100% who you are?
Well, there's sort of two aspects I want to touch upon based on what you just asked. I mean, I'm not from New Haven. I'm not from Connecticut. As I said, I'm from New Hampshire. I grew up there. Went to school in Boston. I stayed there. It's where I worked as a designer for 10 years. And then I moved here with a partner because I've been thinking about starting up a store, and he was, going to get a job. It actually was affiliated with Yale. So I guess I have to say that. But he was like, if we move here, would you be interested? Like, I've been living in Boston for 10 years. I'm like, am I just going to stay here for so long, or is it now time to start something new? And I was like, I visited New Haven, and I was like, I feel like something like Strange Days could work here. I don't see a lot of independent retail, but I see all these people walking around that I feel like would be into this. And, we'd go out and we would hang out. I'm like, all right, let's try this. So I'm not from here, and I've been here now for 8 years, and I'm here for at least another 3 because I have a lease. And I'm happy to be here. It's so weird how much I feel like, maybe I'm just talking as an outsider, but I feel like you touched upon it, but like Connecticut gets a lot of flack and New Haven gets a lot of flack. And I get some of it. I mean, New Haven's not perfect. I actually do think there's a lot of segregation, which I found very jarring. But I do think there's a lot of people that are really into community and, want things to grow together, grow better as a city. But like when I don't actually drive. I take the bus or I Uber. I just, for reasons I don't need to get into, I don't drive. And whenever I take an Uber, I would say 90% of the time, the driver starts shitting on the city immediately. Like, I don't prompt it. Oh, sorry. I don't, it doesn't speak well about the city. And I don't get it, because I'm like, you're picking me up from my store in New Haven to my place in New Haven. So why are you not talking bad about the city that I clearly live and work in? But they seem to always be people that don't live in town. So I don't know. I guess I don't know the kind of like vibe that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the city had. But I'm like, I don't know, it seems like a pretty cool city. When I lived in Boston, I'd go to Providence, and it reminds me of that, where it's like a small city with a lot of culture that's anchored, yes, by maybe a bigger city close to New York. But like, I love that I can go into New York but not pay New York prices. So personally living here, I really like it. And then having a business, I mean, now I have 2, and I'm like, yeah, they're both like doing well. And I'm not that amazing of a genius that I'm just like, whoa, like, of course, anything I start is going to do well. People really do want to support local and support small here. And I think that is really, really great. So I think that's one good thing about, New Haven, which I don't know, I guess not people get. And then for us, I just mentioned I'm a gay man. We're queer-owned business. We're very forthright about that. Like, we're very much support a lot of LGBTQ makers a lot of times, because they don't get carried in a lot of other places. They're often talking about things that are related to that, and maybe they're very niche. And we carry a lot of that. We carry a lot of Black artists. We carry I'm trying to carry more people of color. We carry a lot of women artists. Like, I've just purposely try to say very obviously that these are makers that maybe you won't see anywhere else, but like, that's also why it's cool and good. And I think that whether that's just something that's now become a part of Strange Ways, but I think it's something that I can at least imbue into the store, and people are drawn to it. And it's, people are drawn to it. Like, it creates a sense of community. It's that community aspect, I guess I'm trying to reference, of people come here because they know that they're, are gonna feel welcome or find something they won't see in other places, and they want to support that.
No, I say it all the time. You know, it is usually the communities that have been historically marginalized that are the most accepting. And it is incredible when people do take that step forward and move through. And thank you for being honest with us, and thank you for sharing your truth, and thank you for 100% living your truth. Because you know, in a world, especially from a business point of view, where they want to know the least amount of truth as humanly possible and the most amount of dollars and cents, I think it is amazing when people are actually speaking from their heart and being honest about everything. You know, so thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Easy, you ever looked inside the store? I'm looking at the pictures now, and it's amazing.
Well, I haven't seen the new shop. I have been in the new shop. I've
been in the old shop, but the new shop's amazing. Just the way the outline's done. You see all the local vendors. You see so many designs that they did. You put a lot of time into this store, Alex. You really did, you and your team. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's why
Definitely.
I'm saying, like, the studio side, the other half of it's not fully done, but it's because we spent so much time building up the store, and I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, really proud of it. It's so much bigger. For people that have been to the old space, not the new one, just come by. I mean, people walk in, they're just like, almost like, what? Like, what is that? How did this happen? But it's because we were doing so well in Westfield that I was able to invest, and you know, I think it'll pay off here. And so again, I'm investing for the future. So I hope people come out and check us out a new spot and get into a new routine of, you know, you mentioned, you know, Dustin used to go and get a coffee and then pop into the old Strange Ways. Maybe go to G Cafe and get a coffee and pop into Strange Ways. I don't know, like, hopefully we'll create that new routine, and, you know, we start to just get that going again.
Oh, definitely.
Or before you go and play some Street Fighter 2 at Barcade, you go into Strange Ways.
Exactly.
So you're getting your Street Fighter 2 fixed in, and you know, you're getting a couple cool patches, maybe a shirt or two. It's a good day. You know, it's a good day. Maybe you have a Street Fighter 2 tournament, and one of the prizes is the shirt that you just bought from Strange Ways. I'm just putting it out there for the community. You know, maybe you want to do that. We all have a little bit of fun. You know, I'm an ideas guy. That's what I do. But no, it's like, I really love, you know, there's this funness to Orange Street, and we've had Matt Fantastic on from Elm City Games, phenomenal human being, you know, and there's a lot more of phenomenal human beings putting shops directly on Orange Street. And I think it needs to happen more and more, and the more that grows, we'll be able to cultivate the future that you're talking about, and I think that's awesome. You know, now, if I'm right, it's also right by there's like a cat. No, the Cat Cafe was over.
Cat Cafe is the old space, but they're awesome too.
There's a couple stores away from it.
Yeah. No, we're like. Always interesting. Go ahead.
No, I always thought the Cat Cafe was interesting.
You should get them on too. New Haven Cat Cafe is the only cat cafe in Connecticut still, first and only still. But no, we're basically right Chapel and Orange. And I think a lot of it, you know, is room for development and new places, like you said, opening up, and it's ripe for opportunity. There's empty storefronts that will gladly be filled, I think, within the next year or two. And there's tons of spaces already here filled with great businesses. So I'm excited to be here. Secondly, I guess people call it the Ninth Square as well. So that's another thing. If people ever want to look up the Ninth Square, it's, you know, they've been talking about it being a hot spot for a long time, but I think it's actually happening now.
From not to butt in there, but when you're dealing with the Ninth Square, obviously everyone talks about Cafe 9, and Cafe 9 is and will always be a super hot spot. I mean, the acts that are there are absolutely incredible. I say, from a musician's point of view, it's one of the few places where you can go and play music and not just be a soundtrack for someone drinking. Like, people are actually there to pay attention, whether they know you're playing there or not that day. So yeah, Cafe 9 is a rather hot spot, but I can see the further you get away from that corner, it starts to pitter out through, or the further you get away from Crown Street, you know, it starts to pitter just a little bit. But yeah, man, I dig the Ninth Square.
Cool. Yeah, no, Cafe 9 definitely deserves mentioning. I'm glad that they have survived the pandemic, and I'm excited to go there. I'm excited to go to Firehouse if they ever open back up, and, you know, Barcade, Art Space. There's a lot of really good places that aren't just retail. And that's what's good about the neighborhood too, is you need retail, you need music, you need food, you need bars, and there's a bunch of places that are still surviving and have opened since the pandemic. So I tell people, to come here all the time. I'm here all the time now.
Definitely. Now, what is a typical day for you as a multi-business owner? Do you go and spend like mornings in the general store and then Uber over to Strange Ways, or is it like wake up, have a little bit of coffee, a little bit of yoga, send yourself, about the way? Do you center yourself, or maybe you sit and play Call of Duty and totally stress yourself out for the first 3 hours of your day? What is a day in the life of Alex like?
So just so you know, since I can tell you don't know how to say my last name, it's Dakoulas, Alex Dakoulas.
Dakoulas.
So
yeah,
think of like
I have a horribly hard name to pronounce, so I try very hard not to mess up other people's names because I know how offensive, how hurtful it is. So I try.
No, I say it because it's like easy to remember. I always said this when I was younger. It's Dakoulas, like the coolest. So it's just Dakoulas.
There you go.
Dakoulas.
You can call me Alex though. No, well, it's something I've actually my schedule has been all over the place, honestly. For anyone that's thinking of running 2 businesses, think really hard about it. Because not only did I move Strange Ways to a huge new spot, I started a new business at the same time. So that was essentially starting 2 businesses at the same time. And it's really hard to figure out a schedule and figure out your life and balance it all out. And, I'm not my background again is design. Like I'm not a business owner. I think as much as I say, I'm good at promoting other people and things like that, I don't have a business background. Maybe I could have gotten a partner. Maybe I should get a partner in the future. But that's a whole different mindset. So I personally, need to stick on a schedule and try to sort of, keep things organized. Otherwise my mind goes everywhere. But we recently made it so that both stores open at 11, which gives me the mornings I just went to the gym this morning. I had coffee. I actually used to do yoga. I need to get back into it. But at least going to the gym gives me something to do. I'm not going to do it every day. I'm not a gym rat, or if that's not offensive to someone, a gym person. But I do think having a schedule is really important. So now both stores start at 11. I know anything before 11 is all me time, and they both are either closed by 6 or 7. So that I know is work time, and then everything else is not. But I generally am at Strange Ways with the studio open. I have an office here now, so I can work on buying more product, collaborating on product, answering all the customer service emails, updating the website, planning out stuff for the week. So 4 days a week, I'm in my studio at Strange Ways, and then someone else is running, the store side, but we're right next to each other. We're communicating all the time. And then I do work one day on Wednesdays at the general store. So it's Westville Wednesdays. That's how I keep it in my head, again, for a schedule. So I do work there one day a week at the actual counter and, make sure I'm in there knowing what's happening. But otherwise, I just pop in whenever I need to. And the weekends, I try to have off. I'm working Monday through Friday, but I'm really working more than 40 hours. Anyone that owns a business know you're always working.
Every day.
As much as I try to not like work before 11 or work after 7, it's always on your mind. Something pops up. Social media is actually really bad because I have a work phone now and a personal phone, and like I'll open my shop's Instagram at 11 o'clock at night and I'll see something that I don't want to see, and I'm like, now I'm thinking about work, and it's really hard to you really have to find boundaries. So I try to do that with the schedule that I'm implementing, hopefully better, more and more every day. But yeah, I work Monday through Friday, mostly at Strange Ways, one day at the general store, and then the weekends I just try to have off. My employees, I trust them. I try to think I pay them well, and they can reach out to me whenever I need to. But if I'm not at the register and I'm not on the computer, I'm out. I have to live my life still too. And so I'm trying to really do that for my sanity, for my partner's sanity, for my friend's sanity. Otherwise, I'm just always talking about work, 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 work. And it's no fun for anyone.
Well, I'm having fun on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, EZ Bluez is in the building. We got Alex Dakoulas.
Yes.
Behind the brand. Alex, do you see more stores in the foreseeable future since you already had done a great job building your foundation here in Connecticut?
More stores for me personally?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was something that I considered when, we were when we ran out of space in the old Strange Ways, and I do pop up still once in a while. It's like, how we got known.
Of course.
I'll go to Providence, I'll go to LA, I've done stuff in New York. We'll do a pop-up once in a while. And people are like, well, are you ever just going to open up a store in another city? I don't know how people do that. I mean, I don't know how I would run a store living in New Haven and have one, in Boston or something. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not that much of a businessman again, where I just like, I know you probably just like hire a manager and you probably just trust them to do their job, but I want to come in all the time. Like, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I was considering opening up another location when I was running out of space. I guess what I'm saying. And I was like, no, I just want to stay in New Haven. I just want a bigger spot. And
Gotcha.
general store is still in New Haven, so I can go to both really easily. I think opening up another Strange Ways, it would be really hard. I would need to find someone. I feel like I need to find a partner that I trust that would basically run it based off of what I'm doing here. But I personally don't know anyone that I trust right now to do that. And I think having the online shop just really expands it. It's like, you can't come to New Haven. You can buy 95%, even more probably, of the stuff we sell in store online. Like, it's a really robust online shop. We ship stuff out every day. You can't come to the storefront, but you can get a very good feel and, vibe for the store online. So that's more what I want to focus on. And then the general store, Westfield General, it's actually already doing really well, and it's kind of already hit its groove because I'd been in the space. I know the space, I know the piece of it. So that is already, and I know the neighborhood. So it's already kind of going well. I feel like, honestly, if I opened up another business, it'd be like a whole new thing, but I think I don't know if I could handle it. I'm happy with 2 right now. I mean, I'm just happy that people want to come to these 2 sort of niche things that I've built and, are supporting that. I'm satisfied with that. I don't know if I want to push my luck.
Oh,
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Okay. I don't want to. I don't want to.
No, just statement. I appreciate it. Your beard is too strong for me to jump in there. Your beard is.
This is my final question, Alex. Is
Sure.
Since today is the first day of spring, are there any sales that we got coming up here on Strange Ways that we can expect?
We don't have any, not right now. If you sign up for our newsletter on our website, there probably will be a spring clearance sale, probably next month in April. So we will probably have a sale, which would be, I would say, probably online and in store. But right now, the last newsletter I sent out was just how we have so much new stuff. We basically built up the store, and then I worked on restocking it. So we have tons of patches, tons of pins, tons of t-shirts, soaps, art prints, all this stuff. So that was my last sort of push, was just like new stuff. And then we'll probably have a sale, for things that didn't do as well next month. And the general store I haven't really done sales on. I don't know. It's just sort of like a little market. You should just, like, if you need anything, or if if you feel inclined to buy something, go ahead. But we haven't done a sale though yet, actually.
Okay, cool, easy.
Well, you actually were speaking about you're about to do customizations. Now, is this customization that's for patches, stickers? Like, what are we customizing?
Yeah, so I don't even know if we really referenced it, but Strange Ways' main draw is our pin and patch selection. So we have hundreds of different pins, patches for your jacket, for your backpack, for your hat. We have huge back patches. We have chenille patches. Most of them are iron-on. They're all from different artists. Sometimes we collaborate on them, but kind of like what I'm wearing, if anyone's going to watch the video. But, customize your jacket, express yourself, put it on a backpack, anything really that's cotton based. You put on pants, go ahead. So we focus on that, and a lot of people always ask, well, do you attach them? And the answer has been no, because we don't have any equipment we don't have the room for it, all this stuff. So now we have room for it. So I'm getting into heat press machines. One is a big one for back patches, one is one for hats and for sleeves and for like smaller placements. So the goal is that we will now be able to apply them for you if you don't feel like doing it yourself. Again, most of it will be iron on, so it's easy enough to do it yourself. I don't want people to be afraid. You can also sew. We plan to get a sewing machine in here too. So we're kind of figuring out, like what the cost of that would be, but we want to be able to offer that for people who are just like, I can't tell you how many people, and I'm privy to this too, that buy like 12 patches that they love, and they just sit in a stack on your desk. And you're just waiting to apply them to something. There you go. So our goal would be, yeah, I mean, you could probably bring in your own, you could buy them from us, attach it. I mean, there will be a cost, but we want to make it something that's not, exuberant. So it's like whatever seems fair once we get in. Yeah, we're getting them in this week, literally. So I want that to be an aspect of the store as well, and just make it easier for people to shop with us, basically.
That's awesome, and that is such an incredible thing, because I love that you mentioned just sitting on your desk, because I have a stack of patches that I'm about to put.
Happens all the time.
I just tie-dyed a white denim vest and made it look massively like post-apocalyptic Jackson Pollock. And I'm about to throw like some of our good friends from Long Island Ghostbusters. They sent me some patches and different things like that. So I'm going to throw that on there, and some band stuff, different bands, I'll throw their patches on there, because I feel that it is necessary. And I'm someone, I live very loudly, very, very loudly. At some points, I'm usually told to be quiet 75% of the time. And that's fine. That's fine. I'm not everyone's taste, but for the people that do like the taste, they come back for more. But enough about me. Let's really, we're starting to wrap up. We're starting to kind of run down, as Prestige always says, the Apollo curtain. They're about to start pulling it real quick. But before we get there, what is the future journey? We've talked about how we've gotten here. We've talked about, now you being a multi-business owner. We've talked about, how your focus is in New Haven for now. What is the future journey? We've talked about the future a little bit. Let's talk about a little bit more, just what we can expect.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think I just want to kind of continue that staple of what Strangers Become, of being a place in New Haven where people can support artists and express themselves, see something different, see things they're not going to see at the mall or at the other stores around here. I think the bigger aspect would be just expanding the community part of it, having events, having the customization, having the interaction, having parties, the photo studio. Like, I want to be able to let people rent it out, for, again, I don't know what that cost would be, but it's like, people are already like, oh, well, I don't have, a photo studio set up, but I'm making something. Maybe you can shoot it here then. Like, I'd like there to be more of a community aspect to what Strange Days is about, or at least grow that. I mean, I feel like there already was one, but I would like it to be more of a, not just a store, but like a place where people can come and know that maybe they can get, more out of that, or see something new, or maybe even, they can benefit from it themselves personally by, having a space where they can sell, or a space where they can shoot, or a space where they can customize. So that's sort of what I want to grow next, now that we're in the center of downtown. I'm hoping that we get more people coming by, being like, I also think that New Haven is growing really interestingly, where people are coming to New Haven because they are finding out that it's cool, and there is an opportunity to basically grow maybe what they want to do, like I did. I opened up a business and it flourished. And I'm hoping that there's like, I can't think of words that don't sound cheesy, but like tastemakers and trend people, and like people that maybe can't afford to live in Brooklyn. Now they can like be in New Haven. There's supposed to be a big movie studio opening up here, gigantic studios. I'm like, do you want to rent out our space? It's really cool. Do you need to shoot a scene or something? Is there a cool stylist that needs something custom done for their, celebrity person? I don't know. Like, I think it would be cool if it like kind of became a place where people were inspired and could do stuff and not have to always go to like New York to get stuff done. Like, I want that everywhere for New Haven. I think it'd be really cool if Strangers could have just like a little bit of that, where if someone's like, I don't know, where there's a music artist that's going on stage, we would love if we could, put their name on a jacket. Is that something you do? So like people know their name and it feels special. And I want to be like, yeah, we can do that. Or at least we might know someone that can do that for you. So we have a bulletin board for the community. If there's events going on, music, art, whatever, like any sort of community event going on, like please post it, in the shop, and people can come by and check it out. So I guess I just want the community aspect to come by more.
I love that aspect, and you and I are going to talk, because I have a couple of really awesome ideas. We'll do that off air, because right now we only have about a minute left, and we want everyone to know how they can get involved, in touch, how they can come in to Strange Ways and the Westville store as well. General store? Is it
Westville General? Yeah, the Westville General store.
Right.
Well, Strange Ways, you can visit us on Instagram. We're really big at Shop Strange Ways. You can go to our website, strangeways.com. You can come to 151 Orange Street in New Haven. Those are our big aspects. The Westville General store, it's in the Westville Village. Look up Westville General. Everything will pop up for you. If you want to reach out specifically, I mean, I still read all of the stuff from the contact form. So that all goes to me. We'll eventually open up an open call for these pop-ups I've been talking about. I just haven't officially done that, but you can always reach out. We can continue and put you on the list.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Now, usually this is when Prestige comes in with that amazing question about what you would suggest for those in the future, but I'm not quite sure what he's going to say now. What question are you leading us out with, brother?
What would you suggest someone in the future going in your path? I think I just said it.
What advice?
Yeah, what advice would you give someone in the future in your path?
Generation?
What do I give to someone in the past?
In your path.
In the past.
In my
past.
My path.
Trying to follow upon what you do.
Your footsteps, yeah.
Stay true to what you find interesting. If you don't find it interesting, no one else will.
That is amazing.
That's what I got.
No, that's a great answer, and it is so true because I mean it goes all the way back to Shakespeare, right? To thy own self be true. We talk about it a lot here, and I love the fact that you're living, breathing every aspect of who you are as per Strange Ways, as per Westville General. And thank you so much for all you do for the community.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alex. On WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, this has been Behind the Brand.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a discount? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft.